Hi friends, this is Deanna here today, and today I'm wearing a Mariza Garden Party. A Mariza Garden Party dress. This is my latest make. I love this pattern so much. I am obsessed. If you have not gotten it, go get it. Anyway, I knew I was gonna make many more, but I had some people ask me if there was any way to make it without the little flounce. So I thought, for my next one, why not try it? So that's what we're working on today. Let's go ahead and make this Mariza party dress without the flounce. Let's get started. Alrighty, now if you've looked at the pattern at all, you know that the bodice flounce and the bodice are connected here at the neckline, which gives it this, you know, you have the right side touching on both sides. And you have no seam, you don't see the seam on the inside or the outside because it's encased into the bodice. So there's two ways to do this, hack. You could use binding, where you would just cut out the main bodice, do the darts and all those little things, and then you would use binding to bind the neckline. And that would be one way to do it, but I thought another great way to do it would be to use facing. So today we're going to be creating our own facing using our bodice, our pattern pieces, and it's going to be so easy. Now this hack comes in handy for many other patterns as well. If you have other patterns that you wanted to do facing for instead of a neckline or instead of binding, you can use this method for those as well. So it's not just like a hack that you can only use on this pattern, but we're just going to do it on this pattern because we wanted to see how it would look like if we didn't have the flounce. Now, what I've already done is I cut up my pattern. I cut out the main bodice and the main bodice front and back, the skirt front and back, and my straps. I am not going to be doing the grommet strap, but if you want to do that, you can refer to our video where I sewed up this pattern, and I did do that. But I did not cut out the flounce piece, but I also went ahead and traced out. Now I use a projector, so I had to trace out the pattern, but if you have a paper pattern that you printed and put together already, you can just use your bodice. And this is my front bodice and back bodice, and I just went a few inches down from the sides and cut the top section of both the front and back bodice, and these are the main bodices, not the flounce, just the main bodice. So we're going to use these two to create what is now going to be my facing. So I'm going to grab a ruler, and what I'm going to figure out first is how long I want my facing to be. And usually I'm thinking about an inch and a half would be enough. So I want to probably do it 2 inches so that then when I sew it up and it eats up the seam allowance, I still have like an inch and a half, well, an inch and a half of the facing on the inside. And then if you're like, oh, that's too much, you can take off or whatever. Okay, but it's gonna be the exact same thing on the sides. I don't have to add seam allowance on the sides because the bodice already has the seam allowance to sew the sides together. So you already have seam allowance into this bodice. So the only thing we're doing, this is gonna be so easy. You're gonna be like, oh, that easy? I can do that. The only thing we're doing is we're going to grab our bodice and we're going to go about an inch and a half away from the edge. So let's just use a regular ruler. Inch and a half, and I'm gonna be marking it. So this is an inch and a half from here, inch and a half, inch and a half. I just realized, not that you really care, inch and a half from the side. So if that's an inch and a half from the side, let me measure here, an inch and a half from here. So that way I know that this is the side, not that dot. I just looked down. You guys don't care about this, but I wasn't home, and if you notice at the beginning, I draped some fabrics on my stand. My Roomba, my vacuum, my robot vacuum went around the house to vacuum and knocked down one of my fabrics. So I just looked down, and there was like, my vacuum is cuddling a piece of my fabrics over there in the corner. Like, it pulled it down and it dragged it. Anyway, I don't know why. I'm sorry. Back to what we're doing. 1.5 here, 1.5 from this angle, so I know exactly where that is. So this is 1.5 up here, but because this is 1.5, we're just gonna kind of cut this way like this, see? And then let's see, 1.5 from here, 1.5. If you want to just do like on the fold, here's the fold, so you don't have to like worry about doing all the way over. Makes it a little bit easier. Okay, and then, oh my gosh! Okay, primer and marker on the table. I'm gonna go grab another piece of paper to put it behind it. I'm using Swedish tracing paper, which is a really nice paper to work with, like when you're doing patterns and stuff. I got this paper from Wawa, but is very thin, so oh well, we'll try to get that. Do you know how to get permanent marker off a wooden, well, this is like a surface, out of a surface? Comment below and let me know. I'm gonna go grab a piece of paper and we'll continue. All right, I couldn't find paper, but I'm just gonna put it on here because I know I can get it off of there. Okay, so what we're doing now is we're gonna connect those dots. So this is an inch and a half from up there, and then let's get closer because that was kind of far. An inch and a half right here. So we're gonna connect inch and a half all the way to this inch and a half here, and goes to this inch and a half here. And then from here, we're connecting this inch and a half. Here's the other inch and a half here. And we're going all the way down. Remember the inch and a half, this was too far in. Inch and a half is here, so we're going this way, okay? So there is our facing. Now, how low do you want, oh, I don't know why I went down. You only want it down an inch and a half, so we're going this way. Why did I go that way? Okay, so this is what my facing is going to be. So now I can cut my, just gonna fold it right here in half. Should be a mirrored image. Should be, being the keyword should, okay? And it should be able to cut it down. The reason why it is a mirror image, why it should be a mirror image, is because it's one bodice, and if you cut it in half, it should be a mirrored image. So this right here becomes my front facing. Here's my front facing here. Front facing. And then I have to do the same thing for the back bodice. Here's my back bodice. I'm gonna go the same thing, 1.5 inches. If you want your, oh shoot, I said 2 inches. Why did I do 1.5 inches? I'm gonna do 2 inches on this one, and then when I cut it, I'll cut it at 2 inches, and I'll let you know when we're done with the video what I think about the 2 inches. I was planning on doing 2 inches, so I don't know why I marked 1.5 inches. I don't know what I said on the video. Did I say 1.5 inches or did I say 2 inches? Y'all, I will write a little note. So if you saw the little note, now you're like, oh yeah, I saw the note. Thanks for the warning. Yeah, 2 inches. So we're doing 2 inches because I feel like 2 inches is a better option. 2. Okay, so here we go. We're gonna connect. This is the 2 inches. We're going down this way. 2 inches. 2 inches. Okay, so there is our facing for this side. Pull it in half and cut it. And now I'm gonna go and cut my fabric using this facing, this new facing pattern piece, I guess is what you would call it now, because this has now become a pattern piece, right? And we're gonna cut this out, and out of the same fabric, whatever fabric you want to use for facing. If you're wondering what kind of fabric do I use for facing, I like to use the same fabric, but there's also lining fabric. So if you have lining fabric that you want to use that is the same weight as the fabric that you're using, lining fabric works perfecto. So let me go ahead and cut this out, and then I'm going to show you. Literally, all we do with this is we actually just sew it on like if we had the flounce. So just like when you sew the flounce, which is the video that I already did, and you could go revert back to that video, you sew it just like that. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna show you how to sew that up, and then I'll finish the dress and show you what it looks like, and you'll be like, wow, that's all you have to do? Because I'm like, wow, is that all I have to do? And I'm like already kind of second guessing myself. Should I be doing more? No, we got it, right? Yeah, let's do it. I forgot to mention, I cut the piece out, and I also cut out a piece of it, the same pattern piece, with lightweight, sorry, that's the pattern piece, lightweight interfacing. I want this facing to have some interfacing to give it a little bit of more sturdiness. Alrighty, so now I cut out, put the facing on the facing, interfacing on the facing. I got my front bodice and I went ahead and did the darts on my front bodice already. If you have questions about how to do the darts on your front bodice or anything like that, go ahead and check out our full tutorial of the Mariza dress and it shows you how to do that. So now that I've got my darts, I'm going to go ahead and apply my straps just like we do on the tutorial for the Mariza dress. I'm going to place them wrong sides together at the top part of the bodice and we're going to baste it on here. There's one and here's the other. While I'm at it, I'm also going to grab the back bodice and I'm going to attach the front and back bodice on the sides, and I'm going to do the same for the facing, and I'm going to show you how to do that. The side seams. I'm going to be sewing them with a, just broke a clip. I'm going to be sewing them with a straight stitch on my sewing machine and then going over to my serger and finishing off the raw edge. Because this is a woven fabric, it will fray. If you can see right here, it's already fraying. So we want to make sure that it's not going to fray on us. So doing a reinforcement stitch is what you need to do. You can either do that on your serger or like a zigzag stitch on your sewing machine would work just fine. Okay, so our facing, here's got my one facing and here's my other facing, and we're not going to worry about our shoulders quite yet. We're just going to place them facing each other and we're going to worry about this side here. We're going to sew up this side and they should match up, but remember I cut one at 2 inches and one and a half, and I forgot to add the 1/2 inch when I was cutting it. So it's fine, it's okay, but you keep that in mind when you're doing yours. Because if you don't do it straight to your pattern piece, you're probably not going to do it to your fabric unless you're way better than me, which you really probably are. So I'm going to go sew those sides and go sew these sides, and then I'm going to show you how we're going to attach it. Super simple. Ooh, one thing I forgot to mention is while I'm here, I'm going to finish off the raw edge of the bottom of the facing, not the top where the straps are, but the bottom, because that's not going to get encased and I don't want it to fray out. So I'm going to finish that off. All right, so I went ahead and did the next step, which was attaching basting the straps on, and moved on until I got to the part where I was going to attach the facing, which you'll see in a minute. And then I realized there is a difference between the regular Mariza dress and the hack that I'm doing. And that difference is this. The Mariza dress has this flounce, right? And you see the wrong side of the flounce if you lift it up. You see the right side if you have it down. You see the right side of the inside of the fabric. And that is because, you know, this is going to be lifted up. You want to see the right side of the fabric. Well, when you're sewing the facing on, you're going to see the wrong side of the fabric if you were to lift it up, but the right side of the fabric is going to be touching your skin. Right now, the wrong side of the fabric is touching my skin here, if that makes sense. So when I'm doing this hack right here, and I'm going to make it one bodice, you want the facing to be going the other way, which means that when we attach the straps, this is what it all means. I'm going to show you when I'm attaching the straps. I'm going to attach my straps to the front bodice, well, baste the straps to the front bodice. And on our Mariza dress, we're going to be basting them to the wrong side of the bodice, but on here, we can baste them to the right side of the bodice because the facing is going to go on the right side of the bodice and it'll be fine. It'll just be encased on there. So I'm going to place them right here and encase them to the right side of the bodice. So right side's touching. So the right side of the strap is touching the right side of the bodice, and we're going to go and do that, attach that on both front and back. We're going to baste it together, and then we'll come back to attach the facing. Then when we sew it, your strap will be encased between the facing and the bodice. Okay, does that make sense? So you don't need to attach it to the wrong side of the bodice, you just need to do it to the right side of the bodice. So if you go to the next step and it seems like, why does it look like that? 'Cause I did it wrong, but it shouldn't even show on there. I don't know why I'm telling you. I made the mistake. It would have been fine, but then the facing, if you are looking at it from the inside, you would be able to see the wrong side if you lift it up. Oh, that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. If you sewed up the Mariza, it will make sense. All right, let me go baste these on, and then we're gonna attach the facing, and we'll be done. I'm just gonna go real quickly and attach the straps, baste the straps on with a straight stitch. Alrighty, now my straps are basted on, and now we can go ahead and attach our facing. So here is our bodice here. We're gonna grab our facing and make sure that you match the correct piece of facing with the correct part of the bodice. And we're just matching them right sides together here at the shoulder and all the way around the neckline and the arm side. That's basically it. Like, it's literally like we're attaching the flounce, but this is not the flounce. This is the base, no, it's not called basting. It's the facing. And that will add the facing, and this should be now become a regular bodice without the facing. And then we'll be able to attach the skirt. So let me finish attaching this. Then we'll go ahead and understitch just like we did the Mariza dress. And then we'll attach the skirt. I'm gonna go ahead and when I work on the skirt, I'm just gonna work on it just like I did. I'm not gonna show it on here, I'm just gonna go ahead and do it. If you have questions on how to do the skirt, go ahead and check out the Mariza dress, because I'm gonna do it exactly the same way, because now my bodice will be done. Once I'm done, actually before you attach this facing, you should definitely try your bodice on to make sure that the straps fit correctly. Once I basted the straps before you attach the facing, I may go ahead and go try it on before I even sew the facing on, just to make sure that it all fits correctly. If you need to shorten the straps or whatever, or make the straps a little bit longer, as per preference, as per your preference. All right, let's go sew that facing on. I'm gonna sew my two skirts front and back together so we can get them prepped too. When I get to the strap, I put the needle down, turn my fabric, and go back and forth to reinforce that strap. And put my needle down and go around the front. Alrighty, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to, here at the top of the facing and bodice where they meet together, I'm going to trim that seam allowance with my pinking shears. And at the V point, I'm just gonna do a little clip all the way to the thread so that it can split open and fit nicely. I got pinking shears not that long ago, and now I like when I use them with everything. It's so nice. All right, now we're gonna turn it, and your straps should be cut in there. You see that? And there, and here, and here. And now all you've got to do is, if you want to, we're gonna steam, and then we're gonna understitch. And by understitch, I mean I'm going to grab this allowance and face it towards the lining and stitch it to the lining. So then when I'm wearing it, it doesn't want to like slide over and like the fabric be poking out. And that is all that we've got to do for this bodice. And that bodice is completed. And then we'll just have to attach our skirt, which I'm not going to show you how to attach the skirt on this video. You can check out my other video and it shows you exactly how to do it when I make the Mariza dress. I'm gonna go ahead and go understitch this, iron it, understitch it. I'm gonna show you on my machine. And then I'm gonna finish it and show you the finished result. So excited about this. All right, so I steamed my facing. So what I'm gonna do, look at how good that looks. See, that's just the facing there. What I'm gonna do is two things. First, I'm going to start by understitching, which means I'm going to pull this stitching towards the bodice, and with a straight stitch We're gonna go as close to it as we can to the seam, and we're gonna just stitch it down all the way around. Now you're not gonna be able to go all the way up to the strap, so we're gonna stop as close to the strap as we can. Take it off, and go around to the other side. Right, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here at the armpit area, and I'm going to go tack it down through that seam, right at the seam. I'm going to do a tacking stitch. So I just tack that facing down. So it's not going to stand up on me, and it's just going to stay down right there. All right, friends, we are finished with this sew. It finished and looks so well. It's got the facing there, but it's not poking out because we did the understitching. It looks really good. It fits really nice all the way around. I love it. It is super cute still without the flounce over. I do love the flounce, I gotta say, but it's a different look if you don't want that flounce hanging there. I love it. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Hope it was helpful. Please let me know if you have any questions. Comment, like, share, subscribe if you haven't. Go grab this pattern and come back and sew it up with me. I'll see you all next time. Bye.